Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a treat. The folks at this company, Sefaspe Sefaspe. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. But they have sent us a MiG 135 welder in this tiny little box. And we're going to try it out today. We're going to see if it's a good, it's supposed to be a hobby welder. It's not meant to be a production welder or anything. I think it only does flux core. We'll get it unboxed here and take a good look at it. Well, let's dig into this and see. I don't open it all fancy like the other guys do with chainsaws and stuff. I'm using a sharp knife. Kind of dangerous. So, very top of the box. Looks like a ground cable and a welding rod cable for arc welding cable. It's got a decent spring, I guess. But this thing looks like a really cheap jumper cable. So that's the ground. Looks like a roll of, I don't know. There's some English on there somewhere. Let's see. Okay, here we go. 0.8. So what is that? 030? I think that's what it is. But it's flux core wire. It's supposed to be. Doesn't say. This, I believe this particular welder will only do flux core. It's called a MiG, which is kind of misleading because it doesn't use gas. Comes with a wrench and a it's like a 1.0 tip, so it must have a 0.8 tip somewhere. The TV came on and it scared the crap out of me. Hang on. There it is. This thing is tiny, tinier than a lunchbox. But I believe it is an inverter, so it doesn't weigh much. Oh, here's some more stuff. It's like another tip, a cord, and just a packing bag, I guess. Wait a minute. Oh no, that's just a desiccant. See what this is in here. That is a, this is 033 maybe? 035? I guess that's what it is, 035 tip. So we've got two tips, so there must be one in the gun here. Oh, it just slides off. There is one in the gun. And it is our 0.8 tip that we're looking for. So it comes with a little tool to take that tip out, but we've got some pliers here. And really you don't need a gas shielding like this cone. You really don't need that, I wouldn't think. I think I've got some plastic tips here somewhere that, since you're not directing the gas, I may be wrong. Somebody may correct me on that. But we'll use this anyway. We'll take this out. That way when we get ready to, this cord is, might be 6 feet long. And this just got a, I don't even think it's a twist type end on it. Let's see what's on the machine. Oh yeah, I guess it is. May have something inside that holds it. Nope. Let's just push in, is all I can figure. So I'm going to have to read on the setup on this thing, because I think flux core on most, does it not set up as a like positive to ground, but it may already be reversed because you can only do it one way. But I don't know much about it. I didn't read much about it. I watched a couple of videos. This thing is just so tiny. It's cute. You could pack it to work in your backpack. So really, this little welder is not just a MIG welder. It is a MIG welder, it's a stick welder, and it's also called a lift TIG. It has a lift TIG function, but it does not come with the, I guess you call it a stinger. It doesn't come with that to make it a TIG. You have to buy that extra. Excuse me. But according to the instructions, this little dial has different, doesn't have any numbers, but it has different thicknesses on it. And you just set it for whatever thickness of your metal is. And it's called a synergic welder. And that means that it, whenever you turn it up, the amperage will automatically match the wire speed to whatever amperage you run. It's just got one button that does everything. And then the only thing this button does, it switches it from lift TIG to MIG welding. Or arc weld, switches it, I guess. Yeah, switch it down for MIG and up for rod welding and TIG welding. I don't know the terms. I'm just, like I said, this is just a hobbyist welder, and we're not expected to know the terms. I don't do that much welding. This will be good for something like outside when you got a lot of wind and stuff. You could take this out, run it on a good heavy cord, and it would do things outside where you could weld like lawnmower decks or welding like metal posts and things that you need to do outside. And apparently it packs a pretty good punch. This is a MiG 135. The welder that I put that car together with come from, where did it come from? Eastwood Company, and it's a MiG 135, and that thing weighs like 75 pounds. It's heavy. And when I started putting the floors in the Nova, I started using flux core, and flux core was awful. It would spark everywhere. It was just horrible. Then I ordered that MIG and started using gas, and it made the floors, that thin sheet metal, go better. But this will do, it will do sheet metal, but it's rough. These things, flux core splatters really bad. They're kind of messy, but you can use splatter spray. I don't have any. I don't have no splatter spray. I don't have no tip jelly or anything like that to keep the splatter away. So we're just gonna go with it, and we may work outside one day. And I'm also thinking about ordering the TIG torch. I'm hoping that these torch tips, where they connect, will also connect to my Art Captain, because they look the same. But I don't know if the MIG torch on the Art Captain will fit into this or not. If it will, we might have to order its own cable, is what I'm saying. We might not be able to use the one off the Art Captain for the MIG, but it says not to weld aluminum on this thing, so the only thing I'd really want to TIG weld would be aluminum. But also, my Art Captain has a TIG function on it, so like I said, this is a hobby level. It's less than $100. You can get it. I'll put a link in the description. I think it goes directly to Amazon's where it comes from, the link. But these guys were nice enough to get a hold of me, and they sent it out. I had it in a couple of days, so we're gonna check it out. I guess first thing we'll do is get this wire out of here and get it loaded. It's got a nice little latch on the side. It's painted really nice. Got a really cool color. And I'm in a squeaky chair, so you'll have to forgive me. I guess what we need to check is this roller. It's supposed to have a knurled roller in it. And it's got two sides, so we need to check and see what side it's set up for. We need it to be on the 0.8 side, and that looks like that's what it's on, is the 0.8 side. Or is it? Yeah. It feeds through the front. It's hard to see, I know. It feeds through the front of the roller, so we want the 0.8 towards the outside. And you can see it, I don't know if you can tell. This is 0.8 and it's got 1.0 another. This is 0.8 is for 030, the other side is for 035 wire. So we'll get this on here. I don't know how it locks on. Wow. How's this work? Well, I never. Give me a second. Well, when I turned the camera off, it fell right on there. So, open this wire up. You gotta be careful with this wire because it's like a loaded spring. When you start unhooking it, it'll bust loose. So you gotta be careful opening it up, is what I'm trying to say. If you haven't opened it before. If you have, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're a hobbyist like me, you haven't done this much. Now it's got, looks like it rolls off the bottom here. Let's see. Yeah, that's the way we want it. So this just clicks on. It's not, it doesn't feel like it's adjustable. And I got it laying on its side just so I can get some light down in there. Both of these things just twist and click. They don't really have no adjustment to them. I'm going to hold on to this spool and I'm going to jerk this wire out of here. Now, turn it up here where I can see. I don't know if you can see or not. I barely can. So this thing must be pre-tensioned. It's kind of bent. It's not going to go down there where it belongs. I cannot see. I don't have no glasses. Blinded by the light. It's probably not as hard as I'm making it look, but I have this problem with every welder I try to put wire in, so I think it went. Yeah, it's coming out the center. But this thing is pre-tensioned. It only locks on one way, so you can't tighten it up or loosen it. So I guess it's right where they want it. The reason I started this out over here, so you can see it. It's hard to see. I'm sorry I ain't getting a good view. You got this out over here. Now we can get our cable on. And it does, of course, go in the negative, but you know, I was asking a while ago, can it go in the negative or the positive? But it can't. It has to go in the negative for flux core because that's the only place the wire comes out. So that makes sense, I suppose. I'm just going to get it started in here before I lock it in. I'm not sure how this goes in here. Got a knob on it, notch on it somewhere. It only goes in one way. I guess it goes like that. Okay. And you put, this is your trigger control. It's got to be connected. All right, we've got the wire in, and I guess it's preset because you can't really adjust it. I don't know if you can adjust this knob or not. I believe you can, but we'll do that when we get the gun going. Let me flip it over and get the other stuff on it. I've got the ground cable on there, and it's clipped over here on my work surface. And I've got it flipped down to Mig, and I'm going to turn the main power on the back. This thing should have it should speed up. Once it senses that there's no resistance on the wire, it should speed up and feed itself out. There it goes. You hear it kick in, speeding itself up. Should be coming out. There it is. So it's out the end. I'm gonna get another clean cut here. I'm gonna turn it off. It's not shutting off right away. Guess it goes through a cool down, so it's got a delayed shut off. I'm gonna go ahead and put this tip on. I don't trust these. I don't want to grab a host of it and get a little jolt even though it's not locked in. I mean, the trigger's not down. Okay, I got a little bit of stick out. I don't even think we need this, but we're going to use it anyway. So let me get me some gloves. It's hard to turn the camera on with these gloves on. These are not very thick gloves. I just have to be sure I don't touch the hot metal with them because they don't work very good. Let's turn this thing on. And I've got it set at about, it's set at about 60 amps. Oh, I need to put my microphone where you can hear me. So let's see. I'm just going to go try to tack it. This is, I believe this is 1/8 coupons. I don't think I'm getting a good ground. Oh, it sure does splatter. Come on, turn it up a little bit. 76. That actually is pretty warm. Not getting very good ground. Let me try grounding it like this. Maybe that'll help get us a little bit better arc. I'm not sure if you guys can see what's going on. Let me adjust the camera just slightly. Try it again. Should I push or pull? If it's slag, you drag. Let's start up here. Looks like it's kind of just puddling on top. I'm gonna turn it up a little more. 100. It dipped in slightly. Little hammer that they give you. That looks a little hot, don't it? Let me try to move a little faster. Try going the other way. I missed it completely. Let me turn my helmet down just a little bit. It didn't splatter as bad dragging it. I think it's just the way I'm standing. I'm not a very good welder. I'm a good grinder. That's kind of laying flat. Pretty thick metal. I don't have much of a gap in the metal. I'm just trying to do spots. Spots don't do very good because they're not cleaning very good. Ooh, I laid my glove on that. That was warm. I wish I was sitting down here. It's definitely melting. I wish there was somewhere to hook this where it would stay. Get this loose. It's not really melting down in there none. I got a little bit of a gap and it's not burning. I mean, it's kind of blue like it's been really hot, but it's still just laying on. Let's go up. Let's turn that heat up. See what happens. This is 120. Well, I'm kind of missing the groove. I'm still missing it. I missed it again. I laid it right back on top of it. If I could get it on that groove, it might. It's making all kinds of noise, isn't it? You know what? It's splattering, but it's not splattering nearly as bad as I thought it was going to. Now it's burning down a little bit where I held it on there for a little bit. So I think if a person really put some heat on, I mean, it's not thin metal. This ain't sheet metal. I think this is 1/8, I believe. I don't know. It's just some coupons I got. But it melted in pretty good right there. It just ain't back here very much. It did in a few places. I can't bend it. So it's together pretty solid. I tried to bend it, I couldn't bend it at all. I thought the weld might break right loose, but it's welded together pretty good. It's ugly. I mean, if you're just welding something like pieces on a lawnmower deck or something like that, that's all you need. Now, to make things clear, this is a hobby welder, and I'm a hobbyist kind of guy. I'm not a professional welder. I welded a few times, but I've never been able to lay down a stack of dimes, or I've never had any type of education in welding. I think I was in automotive school. I welded maybe 2 days with an instructor right there giving me great instruction. So, and that's been 40 years ago, I'm sure. But this little thing, that word there, Sefaspe, I'm going to say Sefaspe or Sefaspe, but it seems to weld. I mean, to be such a tiny little lunchbox welder, this thing puts down, I mean, it welds the metal together. That's pretty thick metal. And what didn't splatter that bad. It seemed to do okay. And let me show you this other welder. This is the Sefaspe Mig 35 that I got probably 15 years ago. And you start welding metal as thick as I was welding over there. Now, it is also a gas and a flux, but it will kick out. This thing will kick out on you. It has a circuit breaker. It gets, if you start welding, especially I made 1/4-inch seat frames, and this thing weighs a ton. It probably weighs 70 pounds. And I paid around $300 for this 15 years ago. This little guy right here, though, it's less than $100. I'll put a link in the description. You use that link, and I believe it'll be discounted if you use that link to buy this. I believe the link will take you directly to Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a little offshore welder, and so is that Eastwood welder, to be honest with you, and so are these Art Captains, and I'm super impressed with these. But this little guy right here is going to be handy for all kinds of stuff. All you need is an extension cord that'll carry some good amps, at least 20 amp extension cord, you know. Something that'll carry, and you'll be able to, well, this thing got with a tiny little cord on it. So you really don't, you just need a good heavy, like that yellow cord over there. You just need a good heavy cord, and you'll be able to weld anywhere on the property. Even I think it'll weld with a generator, but as long as you got a 120 output on your generator, I think you could just weld anywhere with it. Maybe they'll send Andrew Camarada one, and he'll take his generator around and he'll try it out, because he's all time fixing stuff in the field. I don't do stuff out in the field that much. We've sold all of our big equipment, but we do work on stuff. We really need that little tiny plasma cutter, and that thing's, for car parts, that thing's a blessing. As long as you got a little bit of air and some voltage, you can cut those parts up, and saves you a lot of time. And then when you get back here to the shop, you can fine tune them and make them fit. But that's really about all I got for this little thing. It's handy. It does do 3 different things. I don't have a TIG torch. They do sell it, but I didn't get it with it. They sent this to me. I didn't pay anything for it. They did send it to me to try out and do a review on, and so far, as far as flux core goes, I'm pretty impressed with it. That's such a tiny welder. I've got somewhere around here, we've got an old Harbor Freight that also weighs a ton. It's got a transformer in it, and it welds flux core awful. And for the money, I mean, you can't beat it. If you got a little project, even if it just works once, you've got that project done, and you'll never have to pick it up again. But it worked that one time, so I say give it a try. But it is a hobby welder. It's not a production welder. So, I mean, you probably don't want to put quarter panels and stuff in with it, but you probably could. You just have to be a better welder than me. I'm a good grinder, not a good welder. But I appreciate you guys riding along with me and hanging out. And stay clean, everybody.